Tales of Moonlight. Moonly myths and lunar legends. Welcome, fellow seekers of legend and lore. Did you know that cultures across the world have seen the moon as everything from a powerful goddess to a mischievous trickster? Tonight, we'll journey deep into the shadows and light of these ancient tales. Have you ever wondered why some say the moon weeps, or how it fuels cosmic battles in the skies? We'll uncover stories of goddesses who risk it all to touch the earth, battles with scorpions that threaten to snuff out its glow, and even moon milk with the power to enchant or destroy. So, grab a warm drink, settle in, and join us as we follow these lunar legends through time and across the world. If you're captivated by tales of myth and mystery, make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know your favourite moon story in the comments below. Now, let's chase the moon's light together. The Moon Woman and her spider thread. Our first story takes us to the heart of Bantu folklore in Africa, where the moon is not just a distant light, but a radiant woman with a longing for connection. This tale tells of her descent to earth and the mystical spider who weaves a silken path between worlds. As you listen, consider how the moon, often seen as remote and untouchable, might carry desires as human as our own.
Let me take you to a time when the moon was more than a distant light in the night sky. A time when she yearned for a connection to the world below. This is the story of the Moon Woman and the Spider's Thread, a tale etched in silver and shadow, and one that speaks of longing, risk, and fragile beauty. Long ago, before the rivers carved their way across the land and the stars had names of their own, the moon watched over our world. But the moon was not just a cold orb in the sky. No, she was a woman of radiant beauty and sorrowful eyes who glowed with the light of the sun's reflection. The Moon Woman lived alone, high above in the heavens, longing for the warmth of kinship and the laughter of children. Her light reached the earth below but could never touch it, leaving her heart heavy with loneliness. One night, as her sorrow grew unbearable, the Moon Woman gazed down upon the land and saw the twinkling sparks of campfires dotting the villages. She heard laughter, songs of families, and the cries of newborns. She yearned to join them, to feel the earth beneath her feet. So, she called upon the spider, an ancient and mystical weaver who spun threads finer than mist. "Great spider," she pleaded, "I must go to the earth. I must walk among those I watch over." The spider agreed but warned,
"To leave the skies to risk much. Your light may dim, and the path will be fragile. Take care not to linger too long."
With that, the spider spun a thread, silken and silver, shimmering in the moon's light, and tied one end to her lunar home. The other end fell gracefully to earth. The Moon Woman descended the thread, her form glowing softly as she stepped down. The stars watched in awe as their queen journeyed into the land of mortals. When her feet touched the earth, flowers bloomed beneath her, and every blade of grass seemed to hum with life. She walked among the people, unseen yet felt in every whispered breeze and shimmering pool of moonlit water. Children slept peacefully, and the weary found comfort under her gentle glow. But the pull of the sky was strong, and dawn's first light began to creep over the horizon. The Moon Woman knew she could not stay. Reluctantly, she grasped the spider's thread and began to ascend, her heart torn between two worlds. She promised to return, to touch the earth again, but each journey left her weaker, her light dimmer. To this day, when we see morning dew upon the leaves and grasses, we know that the Moon Woman has walked among us once more. The dew is what remains of her silken path, the tears she leaves behind as she climbs back to her lonely home in the sky. So, remember this tale whenever you see the dew shining in the first light of dawn. It is a reminder that even the brightest among us long for connection and touch, and that their journeys, though fragile and fleeting, can leave traces of beauty for all to see.
When the moon turns bitter. Our next tale emerges from the misty hills of Celtic tradition, where the moon is more than a quiet companion in the night. Among ancient farmers and herbalists, the moon's phases were believed to hold sway over life and death, growth and decay. This story reveals the moon's darker side, a force that can twist crops and turn thriving fields into blighted wastelands when its light wanes. Listen closely as we uncover the moon's power to bless or curse the land it touches.
Gather round, if you will, and let me tell you of a power as old as the hills and as capricious as the wind that dances over heathered moors, the power of the moon herself. Many think of the moon as a kind guide through the dark, a pale companion for travellers and dreamers. But to us, who toil in the soil and coax life from the land, she has another face, one that curses as often as she blesses. There was a night many years past when I learned this truth. The moon hung high and heavy, its silver light draping our fields in a cold, restless glow. My grandmother, a wise woman and keeper of the old ways, whispered warnings to us children.
Do not touch the seeds or draw the sickle when the moon wanes,
she would say, her eyes flickering with a knowing gleam. My grandmother was not native to these lands, yet even she had heard tales of the moon's fury. A warning passed from village to village, carried like a shadow on a traveller's tongue. But youth is bold, and I, in my ignorance, thought myself clever enough to defy her. With a basket of seeds in hand, I crept out beneath the waning moon. Its light seemed colder that night, sharp as a blade's edge, and it made my skin prickle. I scattered the seeds with what I thought was defiance, believing the stories were just that, stories. But as the days passed, the sprouts that rose from the soil were twisted, brittle things. Leaves shriveled before they unfurled, stems bent as if burdened by unseen weights. The herbs I had hoped to grow for healing became poison, their touch bringing rashes, their scent dizzying. It was not long before word spread. Others in the village had sown beneath that waning light, and their crops too grew cursed. Blighted roots, rotting fruit, fields once full of promise, now reeked of decay. The elders gathered, their faces grave, and they spoke of the moon's fickle nature, how she waxes to bless and wanes to spite. It is her dance, they said, a cycle we must heed if we wish to thrive. One among us, a stubborn farmer named Ewan, scoffed at these words.
It is the soil, not the moon, that curses us,
he proclaimed, and he sowed again beneath her dwindling glow. I still remember the night his fields caught fire, the flames leaping like hungry beasts, consuming every stalk and root. By dawn, only ashes remained, and Ewan himself bore scars that never healed. So we learned. We sang no songs and made no offerings when the moon shrank in the sky. We hid our seeds, our sickles, and our hopes until her light grew full again. And now, I tell you this, if you walk beneath her waning glow, tread lightly. Her gaze can be kind, but it can also be cruel. The moon is as much a part of this earth as the stones beneath our feet, and she does not forgive easily.
The Moon and the Scorpion. Our journey now leads us to the ancient deserts of Arabia, where myths speak of the moon as more than a celestial light. It is a force pursued across the heavens. For generations, the desert folk have told of a relentless scorpion, a creature of cosmic power, forever entwined with the fate of the moon. This tale, whispered beneath starlit skies, reveals the lengths to which legends shape the night and the fierce determination to protect the moon's light.
Listen well, travelers, for the desert night is full of secrets, and few are as perilous as this one, the tale of the moon and the scorpion. You see, when the sands turn cold and shadows stretch like darkened spears, the heavens themselves play out a chase older than any tale told beside the light of fire. It begins with the moon, a pale, luminous wanderer in the sky. She shone brightest among the stars, her light captivating all who gazed upon her. But beneath her beauty lay a story of danger, for lurking in the void was her eternal pursuer, a scorpion of cosmic size, its form black as obsidian and eyes burning like molten coals. This scorpion had only one purpose: to catch the moon and plunge her light into darkness. With each rise and fall of the night, the scorpion crept closer, its pincers clashing like distant thunder. The moon, sensing the threat, moved with grace across the sky, weaving paths to evade her hunter. But the scorpion was relentless, inching closer with every cycle. Those who lived in the desert knew to watch the moon's dance, for when her light flickered and dimmed, it meant the scorpion was near, and so they prepared, whispering prayers and lighting fires to ward off the creature's venomous touch. One fateful night, the moon faltered, her glow dimming as the scorpion's shadow enveloped her. The stars held their breath. A great darkness fell, swallowing the land in eerie silence. It was a lunar eclipse, but to those who watched from below, it was more a battle between light and darkness. In desperation, the moon unleashed a blinding pulse of silver light, momentarily driving the scorpion back. Her light returned, but not without scars, each eclipse a reminder of her near capture. The desert folk, knowing their place in this cosmic struggle, took up arms of their own. Drums thundered in the night, feet pounded the sands, and chants rose like windstorms, calling upon ancient spirits to aid the moon. They believed their noise and defiance gave her strength, enough to keep her one step ahead. But here's where our tale twists like a snake on hot stones. Not all eclipses end in triumph. Legends speak of nights when the moon's light fades longer, when her battle with the scorpion goes unseen. They say she ventures into the dark void to confront her pursuer, testing her limits, finding strength in her own shadows. And when she returns, victorious or weary, she emerges changed, waning, waxing, but always vigilant. So if you ever wander these sands and see the moon's light quiver, know that her battle rages on. Raise your voice, clap your hands, call out, Ya Kamar! Let her know she is not alone against the darkness. For as long as the moon shines, so too will hope against the venomous pursuit of despair.
Moon milk. Our final tale takes us back to medieval Europe, where alchemists and dreamers believed the moon was more than a pale sphere. It was a living entity with secrets to share. They whispered of moon milk, a luminous substance said to drip from the moon's surface on nights when her light swelled to bursting. Coveted for its supposed powers to heal, enlighten, or drive one mad, moon milk became the obsession of many who sought to grasp the impossible. Join me as we explore the allure and the peril of this strange, glowing essence.
Grab a tankard, if you've got one, and settle yourself comfortably. This tale calls for a stout heart and a touch of daring, for it concerns none other than the moon's own tears, moon milk, as the old ones called it. Pale, luminous, and said to hold powers both wondrous and terrible, it has been the obsession of alchemists and madmen alike. Moon milk, they say, is no mere fancy. In the days when kingdoms rose and fell with the changing of seasons, it was whispered about in hushed tones by those who fancied themselves wise. They spoke of how the moon, full to bursting with light, would sometimes shed tears that fell to the earth. These tears pooled on leaves, stones, and even in the hollows of trees, always glowing with an eerie light, always vanishing with the first touch of dawn. I first encountered the legend as a mere apprentice, wide-eyed and eager to impress my master.
Moon milk!
He scoffed, waving away the idea with a calloused hand.
A fool's errand, but one that has claimed many.
That only kindled my curiosity. What could be so potent that it would drive men to madness and ruin? I had to know. So, on a night when the moon swelled fat and bright, I ventured out alone. I followed tales of hunters who swore they'd glimpse the moon's tears shining like silver coins. The forest was a realm of pale light and deep shadows, the air thick with the scent of damp earth. And then I saw it. A pool of soft light nestled in the hollow of a fallen tree, like milk spilled from a goddess's cup. Heart pounding, I scooped up a drop with trembling fingers. It clung to my skin, cool and viscous, and as I peered closer, it seemed to hold swirling stars within. For a heartbeat, I felt infinite. My senses stretched beyond the confines of my body. I heard the wind whisper its secrets, saw colors that defied description, and felt the pulse of life in every leaf and stone. But the brilliance was blinding, too much to bear. My vision blurred, my thoughts unraveled. When I awoke, dawn's light cut through the trees. The pool of moon milk was gone, and I was left with a mind fractured and raw. My master found me days later, muttering nonsense and riddles while staring at nothing. He took me back, nursed me to health, or what was left of it, and warned me never to seek it again.
The moon's tears are not for mortals,
he said, eyes dark with memories he would never share. I have since learned to fear and respect that pale light. Some still chase it, believing moon milk can cure ailments or grant wisdom. Perhaps they are right, but I tell you this, even a taste comes at a cost. If you ever see the moon's tears pooling softly under its gaze, think twice before you reach out. For what is taken in light may leave shadows that never fade.
The moon, like a flower in heaven's high bower, with silent delight sits and smiles on the night. Our journey through lunar legends has taken us deep into the mysteries of the moon. We've walked with the moon woman as she descended to touch the earth, guided by a spider's silken thread. We've listened to tales of how the moon's phases could twist fields of promise into blighted wastelands. We stood beneath desert skies where the moon battles cosmic forces, protected by the voices of those who revere her light. And finally, we sought the elusive moon milk, a substance said to hold the power of the heavens and the madness of dreams unfulfilled. These are more than just stories. They are guides wrapped in myth, teaching those who dare to look deeper. Beneath the moon's glow, ancient wisdom lies hidden, warnings about planting and harvesting tied to the lunar cycle, and cosmic omens embedded in tales of celestial battles. Beware the eclipse that rises in Scorpio. Beyond the symbolism, there is practical truth, a blend of science, caution, and insight woven into each myth. The moon watches over us, binding our hopes, fears, and lessons through the ages, lighting our way if we have the courage to see. If these myths have sparked wonder or brought the distant nearer, don't let our journey end here. Like and subscribe so you won't miss a single adventure as we explore the legends that shape our world and beyond. Keep your gaze upon the moon, and remember, she always has more stories to tell.